안녕하세요.
Hello.
다니엘서 3장
We will share Daniel chapter 3 today.
1절 말씀부터
I'll read
제가 읽겠습니다.
from verse 1.
느부갓네살
Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So King Nebuchadnezzar made the gold image on the plain of Dura. This gold image was 30 meters high, and its width was 3 meters. So this image was huge. He made this image on the plain of Dura so that everyone can see it no matter where they are. That's how big the image was. That's why when the flute, cornet, all sorts of instruments played, all the people had to bow in front of the image. But the princes of Babylon saw that the three friends of Daniel did not bow and reported them to the king.
그래서 이제 느부갓네살
That's why King Nebuchadnezzar
그세 사람을
calls those three and says, "Hey, it's not too late. Prepare your hearts and bow when you hear the sounds of the instruments. If you do not bow, you'll be thrown in the midst of a burning fiery furnace." So the king gave the commandment because he was furious. So at that time, the three friends of Daniel should have surely kneeled and bowed. But at that time, King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Who is that God that shall deliver you out of the burning fiery furnace?" So he despised the God that the three friends of Daniel served. At that time, Daniel's three friends said, "We don't need to respond to the king regarding this aspect. If the king throws us into the burning fiery furnace, then the God we serve will save us. Even if he doesn't, we will never bow down to the gold image." So that's the content that we read up till verse 18. So as I saw this story, surely in chapter 2, Daniel interpreted the dream for King Nebuchadnezzar, who didn't even know what kind of dream he dreamt, and who was troubled over it. For that gold image, the head was gold, the chest was silver, the legs were brass, the foot was iron, where one foot was iron and the other one foot was iron and the other was clay. So we talked about this in the previous section. So the gold is worthless, changes from gold to silver, silver to brass, brass to iron, and iron to clay. That's how it changes. That's why all the people saw Nebuchadnezzar only as gold. Like how they all bowed to the golden image because he was the most precious and highest. That's how they served the idol. So the world is just like how the people of Babylon served that idol. People live in the world and make themselves gold. They polish themselves up from head to toe. If you look at women especially, they have to curl their hair, dye their hair. Their hairstyle changes every day. They have to put makeup on their face. And how expensive and diverse is the makeup that they put on their faces? And is makeup all they do? So if you go to a plastic surgery clinic in Gangnam, they talk about how much it was to fix their nose, how much to fix their eyes. And then their friends all toot the horn for them. Then they say that all the female students who hear the call of that horn go to the plastic surgery clinic during their vacation and they line up. After they get the plastic surgery, they don't go anywhere for 1 month. And they let their bodies recover at home. So people only think about their body, but back in the day, ordinary people couldn't even think about plastic surgery. They thought that only actors or singers or famous talents received plastic surgery. But nowadays, no matter how poor a college student may be, they all receive plastic surgery. So, when it's vacation, the plastic surgeons who perform plastic surgery are all prosperous. Not all students or females could do that in the past because they didn't have money. But now, they've all become like actors. It's all the price of gold. They make money and get plastic surgery. They have to change their hairstyle every day. And do you know how expensive the clothing brands are and how many there are? So the women's like Louis Vuitton bags, those are tens of thousands of dollars. And then there are shoes, like dress shoes. It's as if they're covering themselves from head to toe with gold. This is how people serve themselves. Just like how the people of Babylon served Nebuchadnezzar and served the image. So what has their bodies become? It's become an idol. They use all their time and money on polishing themselves. And that's why women do their nails. Nowadays there's nail schools. They have to polish their fingernails and toenails, everything. And each morning, it takes at least 1 hour to put on makeup, wash their hair, and then dry their hair. They don't try to go out anywhere with a makeupless face. They give all their time and money for that. So, if they serve themselves like this, then people around them exalt them and say, "Wow, you're like an actress. You look like a talent. Where'd you do it?" And they're self-satisfied, and their body becomes the value of gold. So, people live like that and enjoy the pleasure that comes from it. So I want to share in more detail about this word, which is in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 18. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sin, as it were, with a cart rope. People change their body and hairstyle. They get plastic surgery. They carry around luxury handbags. They wear expensive shoes and dress shoes. And the exhilaration, happiness, the thrill they get from this becomes the cord of deceitfulness to draw them to iniquity. But they don't believe the word of God that says that this will eventually lead them to receive the wrath of God. That's why in verse 20 it says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." Call evil good, put darkness for light. So me living as I dress myself up makes me suddenly feel like I'm a star. I feel like I'm a star. Even though they're headed towards deep darkness, people misunderstand, thinking that they've become a star. "Hey, your plastic surgery is really pretty. You're like an actor." Then they hear that and they're self-satisfied. They're going into deep darkness, but they think that they are the brightness and the star as they fall into the state of people serving them. And it also says here, "Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight." 22. "Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine and men of strength to mingle strong drink." So they are brave. They think, "Oh, I have this pretty face and my style's changed." So they're brave to drink wine, and the wine represents the pleasures of the flesh. And the pleasures from when people say they become pretty and that their style changed. So it says that they are mighty to drink wine. It's actually bitter, but they think it's sweet.
용감하게 막
and that they're mighty
힘으로 막
and
즐겁게
happy
하나 양심에
and
꺼리끼는 적이 없는 거예요.
joyful, but they never come across the consciousness of God. You know, honestly, do students have money? They lie to their mom, their parents, saying that they'll buy books, and they enjoy gathering the money to get plastic surgery and buy makeup.
그렇게 사는 것을
Frankly,
즐겨하는
that's
거예요.
falling
사실
into
그게
pain and
보통적으로
sin,
죄악으로 빠져가는
but
일인데
people don't think that buying those things
사람들
are wrong.
그렇게 사는 것을 하나 잘못됐다고 생각하지 않습니다. 23절에
Verse 23 says,
그들은 뇌물을 인하여 악의를
which justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. So Satan, with sweet words, gives us a reward and dries up our soul. Although we are going towards deep darkness, we are deceived and have become blind by the reward that Satan has given us. We don't know that we're going into deep darkness and don't know that that is pain. It's pain to depart from God and the Word of God. But we live without knowing that that's pain. It's most peaceful when the Word of God comes in our heart. But people live off the pleasures of the flesh and are satisfied when others exalt them, and they think that's happiness. But how foolish and evil is that? So, woe those them. All the people of Babylon bowed when they heard the sound of the instruments, the flute, the dulcimer, any sounds like this. They would all bow down. And like so, people say, if you go there, you can get plastic surgery for cheap. If you travel there, it's such a great spectacle. It's so beautiful. And they feel like an actor after they've uploaded pictures of themselves on Facebook or platforms like that. And then they pose and think they've become a movie actor or a talent. And they exalt themselves and live in the world as if they become a star. But Daniel's three friends knew that living that way was pain. Even if Nebuchadnezzar throws me into the furnace, if I don't bow to the image, then I'll just get thrown in. Why? What is my body gold? What kind of star am I? In Daniel chapter 2, it says that the gold image will become like the gold image made of gold, silver, brass, iron, and clay that disappeared like the chaff in the threshing floor after the stone appeared. You are not gold. You are clay. They taught Nebuchadnezzar this. Daniel's three friends believed in this. I'm not gold. I'm made of clay. I'm the weakest and worthless clay. Many people believe that they are gold. That's why they can't be thrown away. They can't be stepped on. They get angry and try to kill anyone who despises them. Why? Because they think they're gold. They think that they are the most valuable and powerful people, so they hate being trampled on. That's why everyone thinks of themselves to be king and serves themselves. However, what did Daniel's three friends know? I'm not king. I'm not gold. My origin is clay. Ezekiel chapter 16 verse 5 says, "Thou wast cast out in the open field." So when I was born, I was no different from clay, and all people threw me away and distanced themselves from me.
자기의 모습을
So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego knew their image, where they were thrown away by others and deserved to be trampled upon. That's fine. We will never bow to the gold image. The God we serve will save us from the furnace. And the important thing is, even if he doesn't do that, we will never bow to the gold image. What are they saying? What gold are we? We cannot serve ourselves. We don't want you to exalt us. Of course, even if he doesn't, even if God doesn't save me from the furnace, I'm worthless. So I have no complaints whether I'm thrown in the furnace or the threshing floor. I only have evil and I'm worthless. I'm worthless, so throw me away. How can I be resentful even if you throw me away? What complaints would I have? When Daniel's three friends said, even if he doesn't, they mean that. Even if God throws me away or doesn't save me from the furnace, I have no complaints whether I'm thrown in the furnace or the threshing floor because I'm a worthless person. We are not gold. We are worthless people like the chaff of the summer threshing floor that can't help but to disappear with the wind. So they confessed this as it was to the king. So they, who confessed like this, and only served God, they, and that's why the king was shocked. They surely didn't bow to the gold image. So King Nebuchadnezzar became so angry that he called his soldiers to make the furnace 7 times hotter. And he threw in Daniel's 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Even after he threw them in, he thought, would they really survive? And he couldn't sleep. So he woke up early in the morning and went to the furnace and was shocked. Surely they threw in 3 people, but 4 people were walking around. So he went close and asked Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, are you alive? If you're alive, come out. And when they came out, not a hair was burned, and there was no burning stench. And then, what does King Nebuchadnezzar say? If you see verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. So it says here that they yielded their bodies. It says that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego yielded their bodies. Why? What resentment would they have if they're thrown away when they're just dust and clay? But they didn't bow to the gold image thinking, if I can serve God with this body, then I will serve God until I'm cast away. They yielded their bodies, and even King Nebuchadnezzar saw the God that saved them. So, what is Daniel chapter 3 comparing right now? Why did many people bow to the gold image? They thought if they bowed, they will be exalted. Like so, why do so many people serve themselves? They believe they've become king and
그래서
decorate themselves from head to toe and
자기를 꾸미는데
invest countless amounts of money and time.
그렇게
Nobody knows how foolish and evil serving themselves is. No one realized that truth. But the people who can realize this truth, God gave those people wisdom, and they precisely realized the truth and only served God. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego yielded their bodies and served God, they discovered the amazing world of God where God saved them. Why did God have us humans live in this world? What is a human being? What is the thing that humans really have to do? It is to fear God. They have to serve God with a fearful heart. That's when they have value as humans and can live as humans, but many people serve themselves as kings and don't want to have God in their hearts. That eventually leads them to be cast away. But no one was able to realize that truth. Everyone in Babylon served the gold image when they heard the sound of the instruments. Like so, everyone in the world became king and are serving themselves. Many people have become kings, and God is showing how foolish and evil it is to make their one body live to get compliments on a piece of clothing and on good clothes. But on the other hand, God protects those who have yielded their bodies and only serve God. Really, God protected Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego so that not even one hair on their head was burned, and there was no stench of any burn. Verse 18 records this world. So we've shared until up to verse 18 today. Next time, we will talk in detail about what happened to those who threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the furnace. You can learn the amazing plan and love of God as you meditate carefully upon this word. And you'll be so happy and at peace if you engrave that God in your heart. So we will talk until here today, and I'll meet you for the next session tomorrow. Goodbye.